Hi everyone, Nubkeks here, and in today's video we're going to be checking out the new seasonal affix for patch 9.1, the Chains of Domination patch, and this is the Tormented affix. By the way, we'll put this in at the start. I actually think this is quite funny, but there's scaling on the test realm that gets completely broken when you go into Mythic Keystone. So I think I was scaled to item level 170, so for Mythic Zeros. I think the tank was scaled to 200. It's a bit weird, so we'll skip ahead. Let's get over to the first big new thing of this affix. So we should go quite a bit ahead here. Here we go. So we're coming around, and you'll actually see this guy visually now as well. You'll see him visually. So the way this affix works is there are 4 lieutenants sprinkled throughout the dungeon. You'll actually see they'll pop up on the map. It is a bit buggy, but they do, in theory, pop up on the map. In fact, if you look at the mini-map here and here, you can actually see those there as well. We're actually fighting the first one now here, which is Incinerator. Something Arcalath. Now, that is his first and his most dangerous mechanic by far. You can see he was super buggy. Actually, the swirly didn't even show up properly on the screen. But his biggest mechanic is this Scorching Blast. You see, I actually used Dispersion, so we're fine. But that Scorching Blast, I think it does hit pretty hard. It leaves these permanent fire patches on the ground, so you have to move out of those. That's most of what he's doing. He also is, he's just ticking ray damage on everyone as well. There's just a constant dot on everyone while you are fighting this guy. So that's what's going on there. Now, of course, we have pulled a bunch of trash with this, which makes it a bit harder. But he is the first of the 4 mini-bosses. There are 4 different mini-bosses. We're going to see every single one of them in today's dungeon. They have fixed positions throughout the dungeons. They have these set abilities. If you do not kill them, you can skip them. They don't give you trash percentage or anything like that. You can skip them, but then they are going to bring a debuff into the final boss. So, for example, if we left this Incinerator alive, we'd have this fire damage dot ticking on us during that final boss fight. So that could get sort of dangerous for sure. But did you guys like my hair? I went out for a big walk and was doing shopping and stuff before recording this video. After doing this dungeon, I'm kind of sweaty. I've got like the Lucius Malfoy, like slick back. Stylish, right? You guys like leaving comments about my hair, so here we go. This is the first one. You know what? Let me actually pause this right here and let's take a proper look. So, when you defeat one of these 4 lieutenants, they will drop an anima power. These anima powers do appear with this current design. They are fixed, okay? They are fixed. So, every single time I go and kill Incinerator as a ranged DPS, these are the 3 options I'm going to get every single time. Healer's going to get the same options as well. The healer's going to get healer options, but they'll be the same selection of healer options every time. The tanks also have their own unique choices as well, but they'll get the same ones. And then each different lieutenant gives you a different selection. These are the powers here that I'm getting with the Incinerator. So the first one is Champion's Brand. Well, above 70% health, your haste or critical strike chance is increased by 8%. It chooses your highest stat. So that's pretty good. Obviously, you're going to spend most of the dungeon above 70% health, getting 8% extra. If those stats are valuable to you, that could be pretty strong. That's a pretty consistent throughput increase, especially for, your weekly 15 runs. This is a level 15 dungeon. For your weekly runs, it's going to be pretty good. You're going to get a lot of extra damage, a lot of extra healing, whatever out of that. The other option is based off the Raging affix, Raging Battle Axe. Your damaging spells and abilities against enemies below 30% health cause them to suffer 2% more damage from you for until cancelled, stacking up to 10 times. So obviously this is still, work in progress tooltip. Let's assume it lasts, like 5 seconds or something like that. It stacks up to 10 times, so you do up to 20% more damage to enemies which are below 30% health. I think this one could be very good. This is going to be much better, I think, on higher affixes. Definitely on higher affixes. So if you are fighting against... tyrannical bosses that get very dangerous in execute phase, as the fight goes on, this could be fantastic, especially if you're a spec that's already good at execute damage, like Arms Warrior or something like that. This could be phenomenal for them. This could be good as well on fortified weeks in particular, where mobs are going to live a long time. If you think about, let's say, like fortified bolstering weeks, this could be really good, where you're killing all of the mobs together. You're keeping them all at the same sort of level of health. They're going to be tanky mobs because it's fortified, So you're going to get lots of uptime out of this Raging Battle Axe. I think that could be good. I think for your typical weekly key, I'm not convinced that this is going to be good. I feel like stuff is probably going to die too fast. Then finally we have another one based off of an affix, the Signet of Bolstering. Enemies that die within 40 yards bolster you, increasing your damage done by 4% for 20 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. And the stacks don't increase the duration, so it's kind of like they just consecutively running buffs. This is actually the one that I grabbed here. This is actually the one that I grabbed, and we'll see this in action then as we go. So you can track it up in the buffs, and we'll see. In fact, I'll just let this run. I'll let this run so you can actually see like on the next pack when it kicks in. But yeah, I mean, this is giving you up to what, 20% damage after you kill mobs. So this is definitely, there's certainly some skill in terms of route planning that's going to tie into this. So if you can, you know, chain pull, if you can chain pull one difficult pack into the next difficult pack, if you can bring in cooldowns, it's kind of like a mini prideful buff if you think about it, like going in with 20% more damage. That's going to be relatively strong. It's going to be relatively cool. So I think it's interesting. Now, of course, it's not going to be very useful at all against bosses. So like on Tyrannical, not really any good. Like, yeah, you'll get a bit more out of your opening burst if you can kill a pack, bolster yourself, and then go into the boss pull like a mini prideful. It's okay. But in these longer boss fights and harder things, it's not going to be all that good. The big thing here as well, before we go on to these next few lieutenants, I want to show you this first boss because it is important. And also, this is important because I'm doing good damage here. So this has to go in the video. Has to go in the video. Prideful is gone. Prideful is gone. Prideful is being replaced. So, for example, here, I actually think that this is the incorrect route, for example. There's no... I don't think it's actually that important that we hug this right-hand side. I think because the mini-boss is actually on the left-hand side, here you'd actually go around the left-hand side. You go around that side of the room, then maybe clear back towards Blightbone, whatever he's called, and then fight him like over here. You wouldn't actually clear through this side, I don't think. With Prideful, you're triggering a Prideful mob every 20% of the dungeon that you clear. So if you think about the other side, for example, is a really good example. With the other side, you want to trigger Prideful going into the first boss, into Hakar. So you actually go further. You go further in the dungeon. You go to the next wing, the second wing of the dungeon, kill some extra mobs, and then you come back to the first wing so that you can actually get 20% trash done in time for Hakar. So your route's dependent on that. Prideful's gone now, so that's not going to be there. That's not going to be the case. It's going to be gone. So you're not going to have that. This is really going to affect bosses. You're not going to be able to go into boss pulls with Prideful active anymore. So I think it's going to make things a lot harder. You're actually going to have to fight the boss, especially because we had Prideful for the entire expansion so far. So you've never, like, you have never probably almost never had to do legitimately a full dungeon of, let's say, you know, 15, a level 15 mythic plus affix or higher with actual Tyrannical active. You never had to legitimately do it because you're probably getting Prideful into every boss. And also, I mean, bear in mind, if you wipe and you lose that Prideful buff, those bosses can be incredibly hard. So that is definitely something to consider. For example, this guy, I think we nearly always kill this guy with Prideful. This is one of the first times in as long as I can remember where you actually fought this guy. I actually didn't even remember fully what all his mechanics are because he would just die. You know, he would just die on live servers because you'd blow him up with Prideful. That's the truth. So there you go, Blightbone, first time seeing you. But yeah, your routes through these dungeons are going to be completely different. You're going to probably want to go and pick up these lieutenants, right? You're probably going to want to go and do that. You're not going to have to be getting your trash percentage at particular times. You can kill your trash percentage wherever you want, whenever you want now. You're not worried about Prideful, so bear that in mind. That was the first boss. Let's move on here. So we're coming up to... Oh yeah, so we pulled these guys. I think we actually wipe on this dude. So here we go. This next guy. This guy looks badass, right? Here we go. Second lieutenant. Fun thing is, we actually got all these lieutenants before the Necropolis here. But look at this guy. He's just like sat down in like an Iron Maiden. He looks like he's super chill. Is he inside the thing? What's going on? Is he just an ornament? No, surprise. He's a animatronic thing. He's up. He's attacking us. This is Sagad the Breaker. Sagad the Breaker. Now, I actually don't remember this guy doing too much. He does this AoE stomp. That's fine. Massive smash. Don't stand in the massive smash. Ah, yes, I remember this. Lumbering Might. You can see he becomes really big, but he's really slow, and he starts smacking the tank pretty hard. Now, the tank's actually feared here at this point, so... yeah, we don't actually see that in action. But the idea with this guy is that when he gets big, when he empowers himself, kite him around, watch out for the massive smash. So again, quite a bit of movement involved here, especially for the tanks, especially for melee, having to dodge that massive smash. For range, he's really not that bad. So that's what's happening with Sagad the Breaker. Now, like I said, I'm pretty sure we wipe, so I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit. Because there's actually something important in terms of the wiping, right? So we come back, and here's what I'm saying. Like, it's actually quite handy having this left-hand side cleared out. You can just run along the left and you're back. Check this out. Look at that. Boom. Sagad the Breaker. He's at like 1% HP right now. These lieutenants right now, they don't reset health. So if you wipe on these lieutenants, it's like Pride, like these guys said. Just like Pride, you come back and they're at the health that you left them at. I don't really think there's any reason to exploit this at all. You know, you just want to kill them and get the powers. So yeah, you would just kill them. But if you do happen to wipe on them, like we just did, you're going to be fine. You can come back the next time. So anyway, let's skip on ahead. Let's check out these powers from this guy. Here we go. Sagad the Breaker. This guy gave a whole bunch of defensive powers. So we'll pause it right here. These ones are fairly underwhelming. So we have the Dripping Fang. 25% leech when your health's below 25%. Could be very good on something like Grievous, maybe. It's a lot of leech, but as a DPS, how often am I below 25% health? Not very often, so not really interested in that one. The Stone Ward, this is what I went for here. This seems very good. Shields you for 20% of your max health. The Absorb refreshes every 30 seconds. So that refreshes in combat, out of combat, doesn't matter. You just get that shield on you. You know, it's a good chunk of extra health. It's going to protect you from burst damage. It's going to protect you from mistakes. So I think this is a very strong option. And then we have the Roots of Shaladrasil. Restore 6% of your max health every 3 seconds while standing still. Not bad either. Not bad. It's quite a lot of extra healing. That is quite a lot of extra healing. So again, in like a Grievous week, this could be pretty nifty to sort of counteract that and help out with that. Yeah, sort of weeks where there is going to be quite a lot of damage going on, this could be quite strong. So yeah, there you go. I went with the Stone War though. That was my choice here. I think it is a bit better. So okay, so we're skipping ahead. You can see on the minimap, by the way, yeah, the first lieutenant was here, the second one was here, and then we've got these two guys here. They're actually quite early in the dungeon in Necrotic Wake, which is, I believe, the reason we actually went here, in fact. But the next guy is ahead. He's just ahead, so we'll skip on to him. This is the ice one. Oros Coldheart. And this guy, he just slows everyone. Slows everyone down by 50%. Oh, actually, before I go on, let's rewind that. Before I go on, the previous boss, if you let me actually double check. If you leave him alive, so if you leave Sagad the Breaker alive, he's going to increase everyone's physical damage taken by 50% on the final boss. That's what happens if you leave the previous mini boss alive. So, yeah, unfortified weeks is probably actually not that bad, to be honest. On a fortified week, you could probably get away with it, especially because his powers are relatively weak. So, you know, for your weekly runs, weekly fortified runs, I'd probably do that. Or if your tank is super geared or really good and they're confident they can take on a lot, like some of those last bosses, even on Tyrannical, maybe you could. Maybe. So he's one that you might end up skipping, I would think. This boss, the Cold Boss, so he slows you down constantly. This Biting Frost, this circle around you that also damages anyone nearby. It's a really nasty dot. This dot does a lot of damage. It's a really hard-hitting dot. On top of that, the boss does these frontal Frost Lance attacks. Don't stand in them. They really hurt. But that's basically what he does. So you're 50% slowed while fighting him. This would definitely make it dangerous. Definitely makes him dangerous to fight with other packs, right? If you pull other packs into him, packs with attacks that you have to dodge, you're going to be 50% slowed, so you're going to get kind of eaten alive by that, so that's bad. Here we go. You can see our healer. The healer demonstrating how that works when you get hit. What a legend, showing us what happens. But yeah, this guy seems very easy. The Frost Lances are easy to dodge. So long as you're fighting him alone, the movement speed's slow, it's not too bad. You just be a bit spread out for the dot, and the healer heals the dot. But yeah, it's all about solo. I think this guy gets very nasty with packs where you have to dodge things. Let's check out these powers. These are the DPS powers for him, for Coldheart. Again, if you do not kill him, by the way, he does bring the slow aura, 50% slow, permanently to the final boss fight. Powers here. The Ethereal Key. You take 5% less damage from area of effect attacks. I don't know, dude. Like, I guess it's worth a good chunk of avoidance or something, but that seems just really underwhelming. Like, maybe really high tyrannical keys, maybe, but that just seems really bad, I'm going to be honest. Rude Interruption. I think this is the one that most of the other DPS went with. I didn't because I'm a Shadow Priest, but do 10% more damage to targets you successfully interrupt for 5 seconds. So, yeah, hey, whenever you interrupt something, do more damage to it. Not bad. It's a DPS increase. I imagine this will be chosen nearly all the time. Then Vial of Desperation. Whenever you take more than 25% of your maximum health in damage from a single attack, you gain 50% increased move speed, suffer 50% less damage for 3 seconds. I feel like this one is more useful. Obviously, it's going to somewhat depend on the dungeon, but yeah, any of these really dangerous attacks that clap you, these big AoEs or these big single target nukes, are going to give you a massive, damage protection ability, that move speed to get out of bad things on the floor as well. I think this could be okay. It's a very short buff at only 3 seconds, but it might be enough to actually stop you dying, is what I think. So that's what I went for. Again, like I said, I feel like almost everyone's going to go for Rude Interruption. All this stuff is still, of course, very much pending tuning. Now, interesting enough here, this guy is actually right beside this boss. Executioner Varus. He's just chilling here. This guy just does bleeds. So this guy does a lot of damage to the tank. Now, this is actually funny. You'll see them, and you'll see that the tank discussing it as we fight this guy. This is the Executioner. So he does an ability called Decapitate, which is supposed to, here we go, absolutely slam the tank. As you can see, the tank has not been absolutely slammed. What was happening here, and we don't know if this is the plan, but what was happening, apparently, is that he was just dodging it. just dodging it. It's dodgeable. Apparently. So, like I said, I don't know if that's actually going to go live. I mean, Brewmaster would be completely nuts here if it was. But yeah, it's supposed to put a really nasty dot on the tank. It's supposed to hit them really hard. It wasn't doing that because he's dodging it. So, there you go. The other ability, as you can see there, is Raise. So, he's going to pick a particular player. He's going to charge them, hit them pretty hard, and put a very hard bleed on everyone around them, including that player. There, you can see he actually got hit there, and it did clap him pretty hard. But yeah, we'll see if that's intended or not. But yeah, I think you want to be like loosely spread out so that the bleed's not going to hit other players, but still close enough that, for example, melee won't lose too much time actually hitting the mini boss. But there you go. If you leave this guy alive, let me double check. If you leave him alive, oh, that's right. He makes everyone take 50% reduced healing on the final boss, which again, I actually think is pretty okay. On Fortified Week, you might be totally fine on your weekly keys. But he does give really nice powers, so it's probably worth killing him, I will be honest. Volcanic Plumage is the first one, obviously inspired by the volcanic affix. Damaging a target has a chance to create a gout of flame beneath the target, erupts after 2.5 seconds, doing about 5,000 fire damage to all enemies within 3 yards of it. And we have the Champion's Brand. This was on the previous one of these lieutenants. It's back again, so above 70% health. Haste and crit increased by 8%. And then we have the Dagger of Necrotic Wounding. Damaging a target has a high chance to consume the target with Creeping Decay, doing a tiny bit of physical damage over 8 seconds, reducing... Let me see if I actually mouse over it so we see the full tooltip. Oh yeah, the Volcanic Plumage knocks stuff dudes upwards. Oh, I think I didn't hover over it. Let me actually find it here. This does knock him upwards, so this should, in theory, provide a little bit of extra crowd control. So Dagger of Necrotic Wounding... puts a dot on, a small dot for 8 seconds, reduces healing and absorption by 2%, stacking up to 10 times. And it procs 20 times per minute. So it stacks up to 10 times, which gives 20% reduced healing, 20% reduced absorption. It's hard to see where that would be super useful. Like maybe there's certain mobs or certain enemies that heal a lot. I don't know of any good examples off the top of my head. It seems a little bit weak. The Volcanic Plumage for me, I think, added about 5% damage. So there you go. You can skip ahead. I actually didn't notice. Let's see. So we're going to pull some stuff here. And we'll see. See, the tank got some nutty powers. I'll show you those in a second. He got some nuts ones. I'm just trying to see if we actually visually see any of my Volcanic Plumes starting off. I think that's one right there under that Corpse Collector. Didn't seem to knock him up in the air, but there was definitely... something that looked like a volcanic plume. But there you go. We'll see. We'll see if we see any visually here. Pretty interesting though. Definitely interesting. Let me know what you think. I'm going to show you the all the different ones here as we go. I think it's quite fun, to be honest. I think it's quite fun. I was kind of expecting that there'd be more variety in the powers. The fact that you get sort of the same powers every single run, it looks like. It's maybe a little disappointing. I think it'd be quite fun if there were different powers every week that could maybe tie into the affixes for the week. I would quite like that. So we'll see. This definitely, I think, has potential to have more and more stuff added in, right? They can add more stuff in as time goes on. So we'll see if they actually do that or if they'll just keep it this simple. There's another volcanic plumage, but I think it's pretty cool. I have to say I like it. Let me show you actually all of the powers. Again, thank you to Wowhead is what I've been checking here as well, which shows you everything. So I'll just cover the ones that I haven't got, and I'll let you know the ones that I know. That the tank, for example, if I jump back to the footage, you can see the tank's doing a lot of damage here, like a lot of damage. Like, for example, on this pull, the tank did crazy damage. How is he doing so much damage? It's actually one of the powers, which I'll show you in a sec. Dagger Necrotic Wounding, the Signet Bowstring, Sanguine Ichor. I think this is for healers. Healing spells abilities have a chance to heal all allies for a little bit and do shadow damage up to 5 enemies within 12 yards. This seems pretty solid. Just get some extra healing, get some extra AoE damage. Pretty good, yeah? We've seen Volcanic, we've seen Raging. This was the tank one, which the tank did take Broken Mirror, which reduces magic damage taken by 15%. Pretty nice for the tanks. That's a good chunk of extra survivability. We saw this already. Crumbling Bulwark is another tank one. Your versatility is increased by 3%. Upon entering combat, your damage taken is reduced by 40% for 3 seconds. He took that one as well, actually. He did take this one as well. So this could be kind of nice, particularly for... You know, particularly, I think for bear druids, it might be okay. Definitely for, like, blood decays, I think it's pretty good. You know, just give you some of that instant mitigation before you actually get enough of your rotation going to get your mitigation running yourself. So, kind of nifty. Yeah, Gavel of Judgment. I believe this is a healer one. Your auto attacks call the Gavel of Judgment upon your target, stunning them for 4 seconds. Can only occur once every 30 seconds. I don't know, seems a bit situational. It's kind of nice to have an extra single target stun. I'm not sure if that's going to be all that useful though. This one, in contrast, is crazy. This is a tank one. Our tank did take this, and it's extremely good. When you attack a new creature, they're silenced for 3 seconds. That is phenomenal. That really helps you group mobs up at the start of the pull. You pull a pack with, you know, some casters over here, some casters over here. No worries, man. Just whatever. You're a bear. Moonfire, Moonfire. Bam, bam. Both silenced. In you come. Group him up. Lovely. Really strong. This one is just incredibly strong. So yeah, really, really good there. Overflowing Chalice, a healer one. Your healing spells have a chance to generate loose anima, which can be collected to restore 10% of your maximum mana. Again, I think that's okay. I think it's fine. A bit of extra mana, okay. Not too exciting, not bad though, I suppose. Pedestal of Utter Hubris. When you are above 90% health, your healing does increase by 15%. I presume this is probably a healer one as well. I feel like this one is relatively weak. You know, it could be okay on fortified, I suppose. You know, higher fortified keys where you're not in danger as the healer, but the tank's getting clapped. Then yeah, it might be pretty okay. For like higher tyrannicals, seems pretty bad. You know, if you're taking, you know, if your group is taking damage, then surely you're taking damage as well. So I don't know. Yeah, like whatever, Paladin and a D shield or something, be like loving it, but I don't know if that's enough. Pedestal or Pendant of the Martyr. Upon death, grant all allies 99% reduced damage taken for 5 seconds. Can only occur once every 5 minutes. I believe this is a tank one. Certainly sort of interesting. I guess the idea would be that you give them time to battle res you, and it's just going to prevent a wipe. For your weekly keys, I think entirely useless. For higher keys, this may actually be worth taking. This may be worth taking as just that sort of get out of jail free card that could save a pull. It sort of depends on how big the pulls are. It's quite possible that if your tank dies, that everyone is going to die anyway because they just lose control of the pack. Portable Feeding Trough. You eat food faster, much faster. I'm presuming this is a healer one. I don't actually know. I think for healers, it could be pretty good. If it restores your mana faster, so food that also gives mana back, or if just water works, then it could be okay. Of course, that stuff was nerfed for Shadowlands, so it's a lot slower now, so that could be decent. That could actually be pretty okay, especially considering Prideful gave you mana. So for healers, you're used to playing with a whole bunch of mana that you wouldn't otherwise have. Not so anymore. You will actually need to manage your mana now. It's not just have enough mana for this 20% plus Prideful of the dungeon, then it all comes back. We saw the Roots of Shadrasil already. We saw that already. Statue of the Hunt. Our healer got this one. You grant all allies within 20 yards additional 30% movement speed. This seems actually very strong. This is really good. Number one, it helps you just physically get through the dungeon that little bit faster. It also helps you dodging stuff. So I actually think this one is really good. I'd almost definitely be taking that. Self-Embalming Kit. Increase all self-healing by 75%. Again, I think this is a healer one, most likely, and actually pretty decent. pretty damn decent. Takes a lot of stress off you. The Siege Breakers stand. Standing still increases damage dealt by 5% every second, up to 15%. Bonus is lost when you move. I'm not sure who this is for. I think it's a tank one. So just, you know, quite easily stacking up to 15% bonus damage as a tank. Pretty nifty. Pretty nifty, and sort of encouraging not to do the kiting meta, as it were. Stabilizing Diamond Alembic is next. Standing still stores healing equal to 3% of your current health every 1 second, up to your maximum health. When you move, this energy is expended to heal the most injured player within 40 yards. This actually also seems relatively decent. I'm not sure if this is for tanks or for healers. Probably tanks, but I'm not sure. But this could be actually pretty good. This might actually contribute to a fair chunk of healing. Yeah, I think this could be pretty nifty, especially for Grievous, something like that to really help out with that. The Fifth Skull, this is a tank one as far as I know. Well, can you guys still, I'm not in the way, am I? Almost. Let's scroll down. There we go. The Fifth Skull, while in combat, if there are 5 or more enemies within 10 yards, the skull releases a wave of shadow, inflicting 5 shadow damage. Okay, so some shadow damage every 5 seconds to up to 5 enemies. So yeah, it's a nice little just AoE damage, right? Fighting at least 5 enemies, you're doing some constant AoE damage. Fine. Stone Ward we saw, which is really good. Now this one the tank ran, and this one is insane. When enemies strike you in melee combat, shadow barbs lash out from you and inflict 7% of your current health and shadow damage to them. So, you know, Blood Decays, Vengeance Demon Hunters, Bear Druids, these tanks that have really, really high HP pools, when they are high on health, this does a butt ton of damage. So I wonder if this one might get nerfed or something. But like, you could see just how much damage their tank is doing here. Like, look at this. Look at this. Look at this madness. Look at this madness. Okay, so right there, that's the healer. He's just used one of the weapons of the dungeon. That's fine. But look how much damage the tank is doing, guys. Like, sorry, what? Like, what? What is this nonsense? What is this nonsense? Absolutely crazy. So a lot of that is coming from this. So I actually hover over. Oh, I did. Go back. Go back. Pause. Discharged anima. Yeah. So Thrash is actually a lot of it. But look at this. 24% of his damage. The Stygian King's barbs. So to be fair, Thrash was most of it. But that's a lot, guys. That is a lot. 24% increased damage from your tank is nothing to sneeze at. He's absolutely clapping. He's absolutely clapping. So there you go. Guys, that is the affix. That is the affix. Affix. Let me actually skip on so everyone's showing everything that they took for the dungeon. I think I start going over it. So you'll see some of this stuff. But yeah, guys, there you go. There you go. Tormented, the new Mythic Plus affix. What do you guys think of it? What do you guys think? For me, I think it's a pretty fun idea. I think it's pretty cool. I think you'll definitely notice the loss of Prideful. It's really going to change your routes. It's really going to change how you approach bosses. The only concern I have for this is I'm worried that it might get a little bit boring if you're constantly seeing the same powers every time and there's just one go-to option. I would actually, for me, I would personally prefer some randomness. I'd like some randomness. I'd like if sometimes you get some epic powers and stuff and just get some crazy powers. I know that that might ruin some of the competitiveness of like Raider.io, but for me, that's not something that I actually do. So I don't really mind, to be honest with you. That doesn't bother me. I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally fine. Here you can see some of that total damage. So I think if I click into it, yeah, Volcanic Plumage total did 2% of my damage, for example. Of course, we got the Volcanic Plumage a bit later, and like very near the end of the dungeon. So I think it was actually about 5% on some of the later pulls. But yeah, it sort of gives you some of the idea. Here you can see some of that stuff. Stygian King's barbs did 10% of his damage overall. Kind of nutty. But yeah, there'll be tuning. There will be tuning. There will be tuning. But yeah, I'd like to see more powers, more randomness. Let me know if you would hate that, though. I'm curious. And thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.